Shalom, Shalom, Jerusalem. Peace be to you. When Messiah comes to take us home, may His praise be found in you. Israel.
Shalom Aleichem. Our brothers in the Philippines send their greetings to you all here. And he wish to be here, but unfortunately, he can't. And I'm very happy to be with you here and give what have been through in the Philippines and how is Philippines going, as long as it is part of the congregation of Yahweh Jerusalem. First of all, I am very glad to speak these nations. This is the real United Nations. The fake one is somewhere in New York. But this one is the real one. The real Yeshua wants to have his kingdom be established here. And this kingdom will go out throughout all the earth. So it's a very a great opportunity to speak before you. Philippines is part of this congregation since 2007. So we have that working relationship with the COIG. And for 6 years, we've been affiliated with the congregations of Yahweh Jerusalem. And we've been blessed for that connections we have here. Because before that, we've been groping, looking for some real good guys to be dated with. And then I met Elder Don, and I've examined everything in his website, and it does like, wow, this is it. So from there, we continue to be connected with the COIG. The connection is really important because, especially here in Jerusalem, where Yahweh commanded the blessing, right, from Zion. We've been there today, and we enjoyed our hiking. So I don't know how many times we will be there. Still, there are new things we will see. So the area that we've been there, at the back of near the dam gate, is closed last year. We've been there with Adrian and some brethren. We circling the old city. We were out in the outer wall from Jaffa Gate and turning it around for maybe half a day of going there. One of the important things I would like to share with you today is the first Psalm. Why first Psalm? The first Psalm. This is a very important scripture for me. I take it deeply as I was appointed senior elder in the Philippines. This is a great challenge for me to really establish the judicial order in the Philippines, because Philippines is really an area where most of the congregations, even before, we were run by a democratic system of government in the congregation. It's just like we're just like village. We're part and parcel of the Philippine government. So I've seen it in judicial order. It should not be. We are a nucleus, or not a spiritual body built upon, founded upon the Torah, the prophets, the apostles, and Yeshua Messiah himself as the chief cornerstone, not by anybody else. So, it says here, "Blessed is the man who has not walked in the counsel of the wicked, and has not stood in the way of sinners, and has not sat in the seat of scorners. So I take it deeply in the congregations that I ran for before really going through or before really implementing the judicial order in the Philippines, that I sat with, counsel of the wicked. Because why? It is run with democracy. Many of you here have been in the school, Hayakad. The democracy and Yahweh's ways are two different things. We cannot mix them together, right? So in democracy, anyone can be there. But in the kingdom principle, only those who have the blood of Yeshua can come, right? So, and also in the judicial order, there is a cohesiveness of people, of the brethren. That it's your voluntary submission to a leader and vice versa. Voluntary and reciprocal. So reciprocal means 1 equals 1/2 equals 1, right? Mathematically, it is that. Any number multiplied by a number equals 1. So it is ikat. We should always be united. But some people will say, Orland, be part of our group. It's good to have fellowship. But I asked them, what's the purpose of unity? It's doing some great works for Yahweh. And I told them, okay, what's the doctrine? What's the basis of unity? So they told me, we will take all the doctrines away so that we can be united. So maybe that's economical movement. I said, no, I believe I can't be there. I can't be part of your group. So a lot of people invited me in Metro Manila when they know that I am leading the congregation of Yahweh in the Philippines. So a lot of people are inviting me to be part of their group. But even some secret groups from America who went to the congregation, it seems like want to work with me. I said, I'm working with Elder in Jerusalem. So they just, so they say that in this congregation, according to what we understand, it is based on trust and confidence among leaders. And also, my loyalty to Elder is cannot be, cannot waver or anything. So I will tell them right away that I am working with this man in Jerusalem. So they will not force themselves up in my congregation. It says here also that has not stood in the way of sinners, has not sat in the seat of scorners. In our congregation, when I was convicted, really convicted, that democracy really can't work, so I resigned. I leave the group, the system, because it says in Revelation 8:4, "Come out of her, my people." It's the system. I was thinking that I was already out from the system, but in many congregations nowadays in the world, they are still using the worldly, demonic system of democracy. So that's why there's chaos everywhere, leadership squabbling, and to tell you honestly, every feast there in the Philippines, I have that very, I always fear that people will just broke out, and leaders will just quarrel each other. So I was growing in that kind of system. So last year, I really make an exodus, a great exodus. It takes a lot of pain, a lot of, some people will say, if you are doing that in the Orland, there's a lot at stake. So I don't care what stake is that. I want to follow this, and this is right. And this will give the congregation peace, shalom. I've been reading a book about pictographic Hebrew. Shalom means shield is destroyed, consume, then love it is authority, and mim is chaos. So to have shalom, you have to destroy the authority of the chaos. So there should be some pruning in the congregation. There need to be split in the congregation. As we want to have a sanctified congregation, we should allow that to happen. So it happens in my congregation in Metro Manila. We're almost half. A lot of people, when I declare that this I will go through, so people who think that they don't qualify for the holiness walk, the righteousness walk, just leave without further question. So praise Yahweh, after the pruning, Yahweh sends people that are really truth seeker, that are really true, that are really honest, and are really loyal to the doctrine, loyal to Jerusalem. So there's a slight shifting. Every congregation there is just like there's a shifting there. That we want everyone to be in line with the judicial order. So it's not hating them, but it's loving them. That they will understand that this is the only way we can have a peaceful serving Yahweh. To serve Yahweh, and then you have to take care of those chaos. It will burn you out, right? So I was almost. Praise Yahweh. Elder Don has intervened with us, helped us to make it a more nice term. He has loved us and helped us to straighten the path that we're taking in our way. And also here, has not sat in a seat of scorners. In our meeting, many meetings that I've attended in the Philippines, in our congregation, that a lot of, if there's no order, there's no judicial order, people just use their right to hurt anybody. And then the fight is other. And the meeting is like a barangay meeting. It's a council meeting that everyone has that hated debate. Yes. And then after all, when I left the group, Yahweh has blessed us tremendously. Verse 2, but his delight is only the Torah of Yahweh, and he meditates in his Torah day and night. So this should be what will be part of the congregation, whose delight is only in the Torah of Yahweh. But how about if somebody, because in democracy, they can enter, they can be in the congregation, when they don't believe Torah, they don't even have that belief system. It happens anywhere, especially in the Messianic groups. We call it in the Philippines Messianics. Messy because they don't have doctrine. They don't have anything to offer. But then people from Christianity has flocked themselves together in that scenario. So in the Philippines, we have helped a lot of people from that system. And we hear and then they understand how peaceful, how orderly is the congregation of Yahweh Jerusalem. They were happy. Listen to me once, early. If you don't, if it happens that you don't take a stand, stand between the gap between Jerusalem and the Philippines, we will leave you. That's right away, in my face. So we can see that people really love, peaceful congregation. Not those who have leadership problem, leadership chaos and squabbling. And shall be like a tree planted by the rivulets of waters, which will give its fruit in its seasons, and its leaf will not wither, and all which it does will prosper. In the system that we are administrating in the Philippines, it is like this: that every local congregation is like a tree that is planted by the rivers of water, that they can bloom they can be fruitful. Because there's nobody will attack them, there's nobody will harass them. Can you see that system? It's very nice. It's just a Naim. Naim, right? In the Psalm 133. Hinimato, Shevit Akim Gamyakan. And then the last part is Naim. Hinimato, Oman Naim. Oman Naim. So that's where this Na is pleasant. So how pleasant will be for brethren to dwell together in unity, in doctrine, in everything. So Elder then have just discussed previous days about judicial order, right? And it's very nice. Naim. In Hebrew, Naim is nice, pleasant. So which you would prefer? Democracy or Yahweh's judicial order from Jerusalem? So it's very important to take that into a very, very serious consideration. And a lot of people there, especially in Metro Manila, are really blessed by the system because it doesn't be any problem. And there's nobody will harass them, will lord themselves over to the congregation, and they can flourish. They can really bear fruit in that system. Especially in some areas where they want to really have that. They really want to work for Yahweh in the kingdom. And whatever his hand, whatever he does, will prosper. Why prosper? Because you are based upon the real foundation, the real system of Yahweh, and you are in obedience with Yahweh. Your complete submission to Yahweh. In verse 4, not so are the wicked, but they were only a shaft which the wind drives away. When there's a shifting, have you seen a farmer who shifted corn or something, rice or wheat, that the shaft will just be blown away by the wind? And what will remain are the real seed, right? So most people, especially in some groups, they're just like they will be tossed to and fro by doctrines, strange doctrines. They love strange doctrines, the doctrines that will tickle their ears. I happen to have a visitor in our home, a cousin of Mercy, that he has that habit to tickle his ears. He cannot sleep without tickling his ears with chicken wings, feather. So what are you doing? He said, I can't sleep without this. So some people like that. They want tickling messages that they love to hear from their elders, their pastors. But in this congregation, there's no tickling of your ears. There is what we call correction, everything that we need to walk perfectly before Yahweh, to walk holy before Yahweh, and to walk faithfully before Yahweh. We have in that our way that we respect everything, our leaders, and vice versa. In verse 5, it says here, on account of this, the wicked shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. How many of you here are running a congregation locally? Please raise your right hand. You have local congregations. Yes? So a lot of you, a lot of elders here that are running local congregations. In their congregations, and you can see, if people are doing wickedly, without your knowing, they'll just leave. They can't stand, especially during Shabbat services, that you are preaching the word of Yahweh, and they can't really bear bear it. They can't. They will just leave you. And sometimes they will just say, "You hit me again." So they will complain. Why is it that you are always singling me? So why? Because it's the word. If you are doing sin, if you are doing something against Yahweh, you can always be the one who will be hit by the word, right? Have you experienced that too? That when you sit in a congregation that you don't want, sometimes you don't want to hear, you just pass to the other ear. It's okay. I'm vulnerable. What's that? Vulnerable or invulnerable? Invulnerable. Untouchable. So if that is your character, then you're not part. You're in the first place. You'll not be part of the congregation if you are untouchable. You cannot be touched by the rock of this. You cannot be convicted. So what else you're doing in the congregation? So if people really are really hard, so that's why there's a judicial order on that they have to be this fellowship, right? Because there's people that really don't think that they're doing in sin, and even they will fight for that. What they're doing. They will say that, oh, right, the Torah says so. So they will find some scriptural basis of what they're doing, and then there should be judicial order on that this should be this fellowship, because they cannot be part of the congregation of the righteous. And also, we will be defiled. Our congregation will be defiled if somebody is doing sin, and then you will not reprimand, or you will not do the Matthew 8 process, which is talk to him, and then if you will not listen, instead he will fight for his that he is right, and also will take a witness, and then still he will not listen. Then the last thing you have to do is to bring him to the congregation, then let him leave. It happens in the Philippines way back 2005. That person is really, I can see that he's really doing something that flattering. He flattered me. He says that you are the only elder that I know that are really doing good. So I told him right away, don't flatter me, because I don't want that. I want Yahweh to say that I am doing good. So later on, 2 years ago, 2 years after, to my face, it says that you are not right. You're wrong. You don't believe that Yeshua does not die. So some people will say good things cannot really be reliable, because in the end they will just say the opposite. That's why we have to know, and we have to let them know too, that in this walk of life, we need to be honest. We need to be loyal. We need to be under a headship, to be under covering, to be under the judicial order. Or else, you'll be doing outside of judicial order, you'll be in your own. So, the blessing will not come upon you. So here, in last verse, for Yahweh is knowing the way of the righteous, and the way of the wicked shall perish. For us, believers, we should also know what is the way of the righteous, and also the way of the sinners. We must know. We must. Some people will say that it's okay to mingle with people who are doing wickedness. No. In Shaul's this exhortation in Corinthians, that we cannot eat with the same table with the table of Yeshua, with the table of Satan, right? So how else will we will be doing that? Sometimes in the Philippines, a lot of people are thinking like that. They don't think that they are doing wicked, and they want to be associated with us. So I told them, if you are not really following the judicial order, I can't be with you. So I can extend my, cordial. We will be friends in the room. but not friends in the congregation, in the congregation, because I can't take it in. So, as a senior elder in the Philippines, I really see to it that everyone is doing the same thing that I am doing, and everyone should align themselves. Not the congregation should align with them with themselves. It's just like Yahweh. He has the Torah, and people want Yahweh to align with their in their habits. And sometimes you will look for scriptures. Oh, this will prove what I'm doing. Instead of proving yourself, instead of aligning yourself to the Torah, that we have a lot of weaknesses. We have a lot of we lack a lot of things to be aligned with Yahweh's Torah. That's why we in Elder Don's message, the first day, the purpose of man, we are just made in His image, and the likeness should be worked out. So if you want to be in His likeness, we have to work it out. Just like if you want to be saved, to get that reward, according to Shaul, we have to work our salvation with fear and trembling. Did you fear? Did you tremble working your salvation? Not yet, right? Not yet. Me myself, I don't really experience that. I tremble. So time will come that we have to do that. I've heard our school, in the school, that when you are asked to denounce Yeshua or die, so what will you do? So I always have that principle with Elder Don, that if some people will kill you because of your faith, they are just helping you 1 second to the kingdom. They are sending you 1 second to the kingdom. Right? Because I remembered once that a Chinese communist area where having like this is illegal. So when a pastor was called and told his sisters, members, are called to, then the communists told him, "You kill that 2 girls and then we will leave you alive." And then he grabbed the pistol and killed those 2 sisters. So if we were in that kind of scenario, what will we do? What would Yeshua do? So we always take that. So I will end this message with reading Psalms 133. Where it's very famous. A lot of songs sung in this chapter. It's a little chapter, small chapter. So we want always blessing, right? Where can we get the blessing? Here. That's why we are here. That's why if I am to really decide, I want the whole Philippines to be here during Sukkot. Yes. If Yahweh will, I always have that, talk with the people there, the congregation there, that we will rent the El Al, that it will fly directly from Philippines to Tel Aviv. We will some kind of chartered plane, a chartered plane. So it might be 4 or 5 El Al, the Boeing 747 that will be used from Philippines going here, direct flight. So it's Far East. This is the Middle East, so it's not very far, right? It's not very far. But what makes it far for us? Because we have to go to Europe before going here. There's no other way. Yes, maybe because of the air traffic that they don't want to pass by. They don't have that air permission to go there directly. So if Philippines to Israel is not very far. If we were in the Far East, then this is Middle East. It's not so far. Then the other Far East, in the other hand, in the other side. A song of ascents of David. Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren living together even in unity. In Hebrew, this is well known, you know that. Hinei matov, shevet umanaim, shevet achem, gam yachad. That's why the school is called yachad, right? Because it is togetherness, there's a unity. When we were there for 5 months, wow, I experienced like eternity with the brethren. You can see that. You can see the ruach is really roaming around in the congregation. If all the brethren are doing the same thing, doing righteousness, walking in holiness. It is like the precious oil on the head that ran down on the bird, even Aaron's bird, going down to the mouth of his garments. If you can imagine Aaron, have you seen Aaron's picture or anything? He has a long bird, and then the oil is here and it runs down his bird, even his garments. Wow. If you visualize how good it is, right? And if we try to dig it deeper, oil is the name, right? It signifies the name of Yahweh. And with Yahweh, we can express His name here in the land for how many years that His name is not really important in this land. Like the dew of Hermon coming down on the mountains of Zion. So from Hermon to Mount Zion we were at this morning. For there Yahweh commanded the blessings. The blessing, life forevermore. So this is eternal life. Life forevermore is like forevermore. You are living forevermore. It's eternal life. This is the reward. So we will find the reward of Yeshua here in the land. As we with understanding that in 1 Thessalonians 4:16 that He will meet us in the clouds of heaven and bring us to the Mount of Olives, right? So that is where we will have we will spend eternity with our Master. So, in so doing, in this, I want to really very thankful for the congregation of Yahweh Jerusalem, Elder Don, for sending us here again. For me, this is my 4th time that I am blessed to be here with you, and also for the big help, the great help that the COYG has helped the Philippines tremendously. Both the Bibles, we have the Bibles. So first time that we have a very almost, or if not, accurate Bible translation that we have in our hand. So that is a very wonderful thing that is happening in the Philippines. So it needs obedience, it needs trust, it needs that you will be loyal to the leaders you think that they can help you. Because leadership are there to what? To take care of our souls. That's why I'm confident enough. So my morale is really high when I know that Elder Don is taking care of the congregation worldwide. Because I know that he will take us to the right path. He will take us to the right direction. And also I would like to extend my thanks to all of you who are here, that I can see your smiles, that really what is needed in the congregation. I remember one time that a company is going down, but some of its staff wrote a smiley, put a smiley in the walls, and then all of a sudden it rises up. It's like we are. We should wear a smile everywhere we go, because it radiates and it will really give a warm feeling for everyone, that we can be, we can have that kind of ikhad in the congregation. So, Yahweh bless everyone, and hallelujah.
Thank you, Orland. Maybe that's why the temple was destroyed. They had cherubs on instead of the smileys. All right. I don't have too much time, but I am going to give a short message on the importance of the tassel I'd like to talk about. And I appreciate, before I start, I just want to really say that I appreciate Orland and his leadership, as well as Joseph and all the elders here and around the world. We have roughly about 240 elders and deacons in our network worldwide. And praise Yahweh, we really have a spirit of unity that works together and that cares for each other, helps each other, and something that you don't see too much. What I see around the world is mostly leadership breaking off and breaking off and breaking off. So to see that is really important. I'd like to start in 1 Timothy 2 and verse 12. And it says, "And I do not allow a woman to debate publicly, nor to usurp the authority of a man, but to be in silence." I'm not going to talk too much on this, because I do have a message for you ladies another day during the feast, hopefully to encourage and give you some benefit. But I just want to start there, because when we're talking about the tassel, and I'm going to go to Numbers 15 after this, I really want to show, I think maybe sometimes just reading the scripture itself, that some people misinterpret the meaning of the tassel. But really, what I want to show you today, unequivocally from scripture and from culture, that the tassel is not only a piece of the male garment, which we know a woman should not wear a male garment and a man should not wear a woman's garment, but it was also a sign of authority. It really is a sign of headship and authority. So I've had people say to me about 1 Timothy 2:12 and say, well, Don, if the pastor gives the woman the authority to come up and speak and she's not usurping it, then is that okay? And I said, no, it's not okay, because it's not the pastor's authority to give. It's Yahweh's authority. That's like the pastor saying, I give you the authority to work on Shabbat, or I give you the authority to lie or steal. No, all the word comes from Yahweh. We're not to add to it or take away from it. And to come up to the podium is a position of authority. To sit in the seat of Moses is a position of authority. And it's simply judicial order. And that has not been given to women. Women do not sit in the seat of authority in a congregation. It's that simple, and we'll see why here. Because it's simply a matter of headship. It's a matter of headship. It doesn't make someone any better or worse. If we had someone here who was a policeman, the fact that he has maybe more authority to tell us what to do and protect us, it doesn't mean he's better than anybody. It means he might have the greater ability to serve. And that's where, I think, in the Western mindset, because we've had such poor examples of leadership. And even today, they said, they took a poll a couple of weeks ago, and the Congress had an approval rating of 5%. I mean, wow. I thought they'd have more relatives than that. 5%, that's pretty pathetic. The people that are serving us, and they did a poll, I think it was 84% of Americans said if they had the choice, they'd get rid of everyone and get somebody new. So that's pretty bad, when you have those kind of numbers. So we haven't really seen it, and in our leadership school, and if ever we consider ordaining somebody into the elderhood, that's the first thing that we're looking for. Somebody that has a servant attitude. They have a servant heart, One time, way back, before we left America, we were having a conference in Pennsylvania. We had several hundred people come, and I was setting up the chairs beforehand. And somebody came in and started talking to me, and we were talking and setting them up. Then all of a sudden, he introduced himself, and I introduced myself. And he said, "Whoa, you're Don Esposito?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I would have never expected that," because I was there setting the chairs. I said, "Thank you. That's about the best compliment that I can get." That we're all just normal people, and that's what we should be doing. We should be serving, and that's what it's about. So Numbers 15, in verse 37, Numbers 15, verse 37 says, And Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, the word is benim, sons of Israel, and you shall say to them that they shall make themselves fringes on the corners of their garments for their generations. And they shall put a thread of blue with the fringe in each corner. And he shall be to you for a fringe, so that you may look on it and remember all the commandments of Yahweh and do them, and that you do not go about after your own heart and your own eyes, after which you fornicate. That you may remember to do all the commandments and be holy to your Elohim. So again, this word, some translations put children of Israel. The word is benim, it's sons. You know, bat is daughter, ben is son, benim is sons. You know, so ba'ot would be daughters. It clearly is talking to the men. And although in other places, people will say, well, hey, how about where it talks about the commandments? You know, is that only to the men? And you see, when you're looking at it from a Western standpoint, again, you're not seeing headship. Because like I said, like it or not, in ancient times, women were a possession. Women were a possession. And you want to know something? I have no problem with that. You know, if somebody wants to be my sugar daddy and take care of me, here I am. You know, I wouldn't mind it whatsoever. If I had somebody there, we do. We have Yahweh and Yeshua. You know, that they're going to care for us and love us and take us in their ways. Why on earth would we look at that as something bad? Except for the fact, and again, not today, we're short on time, but I will when I go into it. The feminist movement in America was the worst thing that ever could have happened to you ladies. Because it's evil people. We see, you know, these socialists, these communists that are using the people. They don't care about you. They're not looking for the woman's right to choose when it comes to abortion. There is something political behind all of it. So the fact that in Scripture, and in Numbers 30, I'm not going to go there today because we'll go there in the other message, but in Numbers 30 it's very clear that the man has headship over the woman. And I say, wow, that's a great example, because if I put foot into my mouth, I'm stuck. Whatever comes out of my mouth, I have to perform. But for a woman, if you say something that is rash, if you're a young woman, your father can annul it. If you're a married woman, then your husband can annul it. And again, if you're a widow or whatever, and you're under the headship of the congregation, then an elder or a pastor can annul it. So wow, that's a big plus on your side, because sometimes we do speak too fast. And it comes out of the mouth, and we have to perform it as a man. But it shows the headship there, that a woman is always under headship. She should be under headship. And really, when you think about it, it's not that the woman is restricted. A woman can't wear a tassel. No, it's that the woman is blessed that the tassel is under the headship of her father or her husband or the elders in the congregation. It's simply showing that. One of the things is, like I said, if you look also beside the word benim being sons, in Hebrew, one thing that makes it really good. In English, we don't have gender to words. Well, we do some words if you say male and female, but we don't really have gender to, say, like colors. The color red, is it masculine or feminine? And when we say masculine and feminine, it doesn't always mean what it says, but in some cases it does. But in Hebrew, you do. You have genders to every verb, you have genders to every adjective, you have genders to every noun. So here it is, when you're reading this scripture here, it's all in the masculine. It's not only the sons, the benim. So somebody that's saying, well, what about when it says over here, the commandments? And it shows you that there's no way to misinterpret it. And a matter of fact, if there was anybody that was with us a couple of years ago, when we actually met the scribe, remember the scribe who writes the Torah? That was the question asked to him. And he clearly said, you know, and if you know Hebrew, you see, it is not meant to the women. And like I said, it wasn't something that you put together and put on your little belt buckle. This was a piece of your garment, and we're going to see it here, that it was a part of the garment. And the garment really meant something. It didn't only mean the man, but it meant his authority in the congregation or his authority in the society. And that's what it shows from it. So it's not that a woman is restricted. It's simply that a woman is under the covering. So if you have a husband that's wearing a tassel, and you want to wear a tassel, what's that saying? You know, it's saying, and you know what Babylon means? When you look at Babylon, we know Babylon means confusion, but the word picture, we're talking about word pictures. The word picture for Babylon is when there's two heads in the family. And I don't see this problem in Kenya. Harriet can tell you. I don't see it so much in Uganda. I don't see it in the Philippines, but I see it in Babylon. I see this struggle all the time in Babylon of the women wanting to take over headship. You know, and boy, if you say anything about it, right away you're looked at, you're this, you're that, there's madness, there's anxiety. And like I said, if ever there's a message given, you know, that's there for edification and help and love, and you're getting angry, it only shows you have pride. That's the only thing. Because this is, whether you're a man or a woman, as a man, I want to get back and be like Abraham and like David. I want to be a biblical man. And I'm not there yet. So I'm looking for advice. I'm looking for criticism. I'm looking for a multitude of counsel, how I can be a better husband, a better father, and a better elder. And I would think every woman would want the same thing. So here it is, like we said. The first thing is, clearly the tassel was not worn by women. It was a piece of the man's garment, and we're going to see that as we go along. The second thing, if we go to verse 39, some translations, or most translations, put, "And it shall be to you for a fringe." But if you look in the original Hebrew, it's literally, "And he shall be to you for a fringe." He shall be to you for a fringe. Clearly showing that the blue in the tassel goes back all the way to the beginning. The blue showed the royalty of the Messiah. It was a sign of the Messiah, you know, his sovereignty over you. So literally, that blue is showing the Messiah over us. And interesting enough, if you go out here, most of the Jews wear the tassel, but hardly ever any of them have the blue in the tassel. They don't wear the blue because they don't accept Messiah. So they don't have that. So it's showing that, you know, it's a mark of identity. It's a mark of identity with Yahweh. In ancient times, garments were woven and decorated to show the person's identity and status in society. The hem and tassels of the outer robe were particularly important, with the hem being symbolic of the owner's identity and authority. And that's why when you look at what Yeshua said, maybe we should go there in Matthew 23, verse 5. And this is where he's rebuking the scribes and the Pharisees. "And they do all their works to be seen by men, and they widen their tefillin," you know, the strap that goes around for prayer, "and lengthen the techelit," the blue string and the tassel of their robes. They lengthen the techelit. And literally in the Aramaic, it uses that word techelit. And the techelit is actually the color. And it's still ambiguous what is that color. Because it's not the color blue that's used. The word techelit, some of you have been to us in the antiquity labs where we store from the 2nd century the tzitzits. And it was actually more of a purple color. So it could be more purple, which is really interesting if you're thinking about it representing the Messiah and blood. Blood is a reddish purple. So we don't really know. It could be, some people say it's sky blue, like the sky, showing the sovereignty of heaven over us on earth. And, like I said, I've actually seen it with my eyes, you know, the purple. So it could be one or the other. We're exactly not sure because of that word. It's an archaic word that we're not really sure exactly what it means. But clearly it showed the symbol. So Yeshua is not rebuking them for wearing them. He's rebuking them because it was a status symbol, because of their pride. They were making them really long. Look, I'm the rabbi. Look at me. I got the longest tassel. And that's what he's saying. You know, when we first started wearing tassels, my wife can tell you, we made them so strong they used to laugh at me. "What is that?" And I'd say, "It's a tassel, that." You could barely even see it. So we made them a little bit longer, you know, but certainly not that long. But we were trying to make them very short. The hem of a Jew's garment was not, as in modern clothes, a simple fold in the garment, sewn down to prevent the edge from fraying. It was a decorative feature which made the statement about the status and importance of the wearer. If you go to Zechariah 8 and verse 22, it says, "And many people and strong nations shall come to seek Yahweh of hosts in Jerusalem, and seek the favor of the face of Yahweh." So this is a time in the future we're talking about. And it says Yahweh of hosts, "In those days 10 men of all the languages of the nation shall take hold and will seize the skirt," and that word skirt literally is the most outer part of the garment, which would be the tassel of a man of Jews, saying, "Let us go with you, for we have heard that Elohim is with you." Isn't it interesting? In the end times, You're having 10 men of the nations. How many lost tribes are there? 10 coming to the brother Judah and saying, what? Let us take part of your authority. Look at us. We don't have any authority here. They won't let us stay. So that it's more prophetic here than anything else. But it's showing the status symbol. You know that the Jews do have authority here. You know, unfortunately, unfortunately. You know, we got to go to them for our visas. We got to go to them because Yahweh's put them here. But it shows that. You know, that the tribes of Israel will come in the end time and they'll want to take the tassel of Judah because they want to be part of his authority. Now, this is very interesting. In text found in Mesopotamia, references indicate that the removal of the fringe of a man's garment was the equivalent of removing part of his personality. In ancient legal contracts written in clay, remember we were talking to the signet rings? Instead of a signature, the corner of the hem would be pressed into the clay to leave an impression. So it shows you how important that tzitzit was in the society. Thus, the tassel or fringe of a garment indicated the rank or personality of the wearer. We have to remember that Yeshua, like I said, rebuked the Pharisees for enlarging the fringes, not for wearing them. For trying to magnify their position. Now, another thing that's really interesting is the story of David and Saul. Remember, here it is, Saul gets disqualified. David is already told, you are going to be the king of Israel. Saul knows this, so what's he trying to do? He's trying to kill him. And then David says, I'm not going to touch him. If Yahweh wants him out, let Yahweh take care of it. He's the king's anointed. This is not my job. But look what happens when David meets Saul. Let's go to 1 Samuel 24:4. And David's men said to him, behold, the day of which Yahweh said to you, behold, I will deliver your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as is good in your eyes. But David rose up and quietly cut off the tassel of Saul's robe. Right? He didn't kill him, but what did he do? He cut the tassel to show him, to kind of put it in your face. I've taken your authority. You know, Yahweh already said I'm going to be king, and that's why afterwards what happened? He repented. I mean, he repented and said he did the wrong thing. But look at what Saul says once he sees it happen. Verse 10, Saul says, now behold, I know that you shall surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand. All because of the tassel. So nothing else. He didn't kill him. He didn't do anything else. He simply took the tassel to show that Yahweh has transferred the authority. And when Saul saw it, then he sees, wow, now I know that the kingdom will be yours. He literally stole his status symbol. The presence of the blue thread in the tassel was a reminder of the blue royal robes of the priests. It was as if each Israelite male wore a piece of the high priest's blue robe at all times. It reminds them that like the priests, they are set apart for serving Yahweh. And like I said, we know from Exodus 19, originally all the men were to be the priests in their family. We know that. Now listen what the Jewish scholar Jacob Milgram says about the tassel. He says, the tzitzit is the epitome of the democratic thrust with Judaism, which equalizes not by leveling, but by elevating. All of Israel is enjoined to become a nation of priests. In antiquity, the tzitzit and the hem was the insignia of authority, high breeding and nobility. By adding the blue woolen cord to the tzitzit, the Torah combined nobility with priesthood. Israel is not to rule man, but to serve Elohim. So it was showing him as a servant. Furthermore, tzitzit is not restricted to Israel's leaders, be they kings, rabbis, or scholars. And interesting enough, the tzitzit was made out of linen, and the blue thread was made out of wool. That's how the ancient tzitzit was made. We see the same in the book of Ruth. Ruth 3 and verse 9. When she's coming to Boaz, and she said, who are you? And she said, I am your handmaid Ruth, and you shall spread your skirt. Again, that word is for the tassel, the outermost part of the garment. Spread your tassel over your handmaid, for you are a kinsman redeemer. So it's also showing the headship that Yeshua has over each family, through the priest to the man, going down through the family. The skirt of Boaz would have been doubtless been edged with the fringe of the tassel that indicated his status symbol. It is also interesting to note that at Jewish weddings, how are the man and the woman married? They're married under a chuppah, right? And the chuppah has the tassels on the four corners. So that's what it's showing. The man and the woman together are under that chuppah, that she's coming under his authority. You know, she's coming under his tassel. And also, recently, archaeological discoveries have happened down the Dead Sea area that they found from the time of Simon Bar Kokhba, about 132 BC. They found tassels intact, and like I said, I've seen them with my eyes. I think some other people in this room have also. And again, all the time the tassels they found, they were always part of the garment. They were not separate, that you hook on your belt buckle. They were part of every garment, woven into the garment itself, and only in men's garment. They never found them on a woman's garment. We see in Revelation 7, we see the same terminology, 7, 14, and 15. And I said to him, "Sir, you know," and he said to me, "These are those coming out of great tribulation, and they wash their robes and whiten them in the blood of the Lamb. Because of this, they are before the throne of Yahweh and serve him day and night in the sanctuary, and he sitting on the throne will spread his skirt, his tassel over them." So even Yeshua, that means he's giving his covering over them. That means they're under his authority and protection. So like I said, it's not a bad thing to be under somebody's protection. It's a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing. Revelation 7, 14, and 15. The same terminology that's used in the book of Ruth is used here. It is not restricting a wife not to wear a tassel, but she is under the tassel, the covering of her husband or father. The single set of tassels worn by the man and not the woman is showing the oneness that marriage is supposed to bring. Remember, the man and the woman become one. And even if people were, when Yahweh created out in the world, he created them, male and female. In the garden, the woman came out of the man. So they're one. It's showing the unity that's supposed to come. In Ephesians 5, with the marriage, wives submit, Ephesians 5:22, wives submit yourself to your own husbands as to the master, because a husband is the head of the wife, as also Messiah is the head of the congregation and the Savior of the body. But even as the congregation is subject to Messiah, so also the wives their own husbands in everything. But husbands, love your wives, even as Messiah loved the congregation and gave himself up on its behalf, that he might sanctify it, cleansing it by the washing of the water in the word, that he might present it to himself as the glorious congregation, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it be holy and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He, loving his wife, loves himself. For no one hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, even as the master of the congregation. We are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two become one. This is a great mystery, but I speak of to Messiah and the congregation. So like I always say, judicial order, it's not communism. It's voluntary and reciprocal. And how beautiful, you know, when you see a husband and wife and the two coming together as one. Submission is always voluntary and always two-sided. And the wife is to submit to the husband as Yeshua, and the husband is to love the wife as Yeshua loves the congregation. The husband has been put in the role model as Yeshua in the priest and the family. This is the reason why, the main reason why the tassel would be worn by the man, due to the authority position that it represents. We go to Matthew 9. In verse 20, we see with Yeshua the same thing. And behold, a woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years came near behind him, and she touched the fringe, the tassel of his robe. For she said within herself, if I can only touch his robe, I will be cured. See, they knew the authority that was in that tassel. Why should she stoop down to touch the tassel? Why not just touch his arm or his head or anything? You know, face it, if he's the Messiah, all you have to do is touch him. But she wanted to touch the tassel. Matthew 14, 35 and 36, we see again. And recognizing him, the men of that place sent to all the neighborhood and brought to him all those badly ill. And they begged him that they might just touch the fringe, the tassel of his robe. And as many as touched were healed. Because they believed in his headship, they believed in his authority, and they were healed by that. Thus in Yeshua's day it was common knowledge that the tassel of a man's garment had a special significance. It was also common knowledge that the blue thread shone a sign of the priestly authority. No one in ancient times would have ever... I'll skip that there. And if we go to 1 Peter 3, we see the same thing as we saw in Ephesians. I won't read all of it. Wives, submit to the husbands. Husbands, love your wives. Verse 6, I'll start it. As Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, whose children you became, doing good and fearing no terror. Likewise, husbands, dwelling together according to knowledge, as with a weaker vessel, the female, bestowing honor as truly being co-heirs of the grace of life, not cutting off your prayers. And finally, be of one mind, sympathetic, loving the brothers, tender-hearted and friendly. So like I said, when it comes to judicial order, it's not a matter of ruling over people. It's a matter of he who wants to be greatest among you, let him be your servant. And right here, it's part of nature. You know, the same way Corinthians tells us, doesn't nature itself tell you that if a woman has long hair, it's a glory, but if a man has long hair, it's a shame. Therefore, the long hair is given instead of a veil. So the same thing here, that the woman being created as weaker, it's for the fact that it gives the man the opportunity to serve in a greater manner. You know, physically. But in other ways, many times the woman is stronger mentally than the man is. So it doesn't make them any less. And we know in the kingdom, like we said, whereas the woman was a piece of possession, in ancient times, in the new covenant, the women have the same potential as a man does. It doesn't mean because somebody is a woman that they have less potential. There's neither Jew nor Greek nor male or female. We all have the potential in the kingdom. There may be many women that are over men. But as far as judicial order in this life, the woman hasn't given the position to take the seat of authority. As true covenant believers, we should be striving to go back to the ancient past. And the core of the ancient past is the family structure. We need to raise the bar and totally come out of the culture of Babylon and return to the culture that Yahweh set up in the Garden of Eden. We need to think with a kingdom mindset and not a democratic mindset. The last scripture, Jeremiah 6, verse 16, the beginning I'll read. So Yahweh says, stand by the ways and see and ask for the old paths where the good way is and walk in it. And you shall find rest to your souls. The tassel has so much more meaning than maybe originally thought. The men in the congregation of Yahweh should wear their tassels as a sign of authority, who we are, as Ephraimites in diaspora. Interesting enough, the blue thread in the tassel, which signifies the royalty of Messiah, is not worn by most religious Jews today. It shows as Yeshua was obedient in all things, that as followers of him we should try to be obedient to Yahweh's Torah. It is truly a sign of Yahweh and Yeshua being upon us, and of our obedience to his Torah and the headship that he has over us, and that he has given to us and to our families. Yahweh bless.